Hey, good morning, everybody. Looking at the bump in my hair. Happy Friday. A couple of tasty things. People are responding to the flip grid. Go to it, even if you don't want to do a flip grid video. I've had a few people say, "Yeah, I want to do a video. I'm a little embarrassed." And that's fine. But go to the flip grid and view your other classmates' videos. Okay. Um, I brought some guests to our book reading today. Yeah, look at them. They're pretty cool. These are your seedlings that were in our class. There we go, trying. There we go. These are your seedlings that were in our class. Look at them. They're like little teenagers now. Isn't that cool? Yeah, those were the seedlings that were up in the windowsill. I grabbed them before we left for the all shelter in place thing, and I've been growing them. So they are our guests today at the reading. Hello, Planties. Yes, they're going to join us for But Not Buddy. Here's a blast from the past, huh? Do you remember this thing? I can still play it, I think. Yeah. Check it out, though. Look at what I found in my closet cleaning out. Is this thing not cool looking? It's like this, but made of wood. And it's got this sleek little taper design. I'm going to try to play it a little bit, too. I'm not as good as playing it. I've been playing a lot of clarinet. I'm trying to get to be a jazz man. And that is a prediction for Bud Not Buddy. Here, listen. The embouchure is a little tighter. You have to blow air in this little spot, and if you're off by like a 16th of an inch, no sound. Yeah, I'm going to have to practice that one. Okay, moving right along, I wanted to show you a picture of a Hooverville. This is a Hooverville. This is a real Hooverville in Seattle, Washington. And it was during the Great Depression. You can see that it's like huts made out of like wood, cardboard. It's basically a homeless encampment. And things were so bad with the jobs and the money during the Great Depression, which though technically started in 1929, didn't really start ramping up till 30, 31. There was a lot of that. And we've had a lot of that, even though before all this there wasn't a depression. What's up with that, huh? I think that has to do with what we call income inequality. The opportunities to make money weren't there you could make money, but not enough, basically, to be in the expensiveness of the Bay Area. Anyway, that's a deeper conversation for another time, but just linking things. One more piece of news. Our Zoom meeting for next Tuesday has an agenda. Yay! I want you to find a riddle, like a really good one that makes you think. We had a good time with those. Some people wanted to show something they crafted. Some people wanted to show out their window, and I'm like, that's great. We all need to see out the window. Some people wanted to show gymnastics moves. Some people wanted to show a painting. Find a riddle, show something. Find a riddle, show something. Find a riddle, you know what I mean. Okay, so let's jump in. Chapter 8 is like so long. It's like into our third session here. But let's go. And thank you. I appreciate you following along with me with this Bud Not Buddy. It's just a great way to study the Great Depression and literature together. It's like so efficient. But it's also a good way to learn about history because we see it through Bud's eyes. Okay. A man screamed, "Get up! They're trying to sneak it out early." I jumped straight up and banged my head on the top of the shack. I ran outside. It was still dark. And the fire was just a pile of glowing sticks. The man was screaming at the top of his lungs. Get up, get up. They fired the engine and they're fixing to take off. Bugs and the other boys came out and stood next to me. Is it a raid? No. They're just trying to sneak the train out before we all get up. People started running all over Hooverville. Bugs said, come on, get your stuff. We got to get on that train. I folded my blanket up and I put it in my suitcase. I tied the twine, jackknife in my pocket, and I ran outside. I hadn't taken 6 steps when a boy stuck his head out the door and yelled, "Hey, Slim, is this your paper?" I looked back. It was my blue flyer. This one right there. I forgot to put it back in the suitcase. Bug said, hurry, I'll wait. I'll catch you, go ahead. I ran back and I took the flyer from the boy. Thanks a lot. I ran back out into the crowd that was tearing through the woods. There was a million men and boys running in the same direction. I didn't want to fold the flyer up, so I was running. I slid it between the twine and the suitcase. I put it back inside once we got on the train. No one was talking. All you could hear was sounds of feet, millions of feet, smacking on the trail, and people trying to catch their breath. Finally, hiss started getting louder and louder, and I knew we weren't too far away. We broke out of the woods, and there in the dark sat the train. The locomotive was hissing and spitting black coal smoke in the sky, and every once in a while, a shower of sparks would glow from inside the cloud, making it look like a big black genie trying to raise up out of the smokestack. The train went back as far as you could see. It looked like 1,000 boxcars, but everyone had stopped and was just standing there watching. No one was trying to get on. I pushed my way to the front to see if I could find Bugs, and I saw why everyone had stopped. There were 4 cop cars and 8 policemen standing between the crowd and the train. They all had clubs in their hand, and they were protecting the train. The crowd kept getting bigger and bigger. One of the cops yelled, "You men know you can't get on this train. Go back to Shantytown and there won't be any trouble." The man said, "This is the only train going west for the next month. You know we got families to feed and we got to be on it. You go back in your cars and you'll be right. There won't be any trouble." "I'm warning you," said the policeman. "The Flint police are on the way. And this is private property and they have orders to shoot anyone who tries to get on this train." A man next to me said, "I'd rather be shot than sit around and watch my kids be hungry." "This is America, boys," said the policeman. "You sound like a bunch of commies, you know. I can't let you on this train. I got kids to feed too, and I'd lose my job." Someone yelled, "Well, welcome to the club, brother." Seemed like we stood looking at the policeman and them looking at us for a whole hour. Our side was getting bigger and bigger, and the policemen were looking pretty nervous. The one who was doing all the talking saw them fidgeting and said, "Hold steady, men." One of the cops said, "Jake, there's 400 of them, and there's more coming. I don't like these odds. Mr. Pinkerton ain't paying me enough." He threw his cop hat and his billy club on the ground. Everybody froze. The train whistle blew one long time, and the engine started going shut, shut, shut. The big wheels creaked a couple times and started moving. 4 of the other cops threw their hats and billy clubs down too. The boss cop said, "You lily-livered rats. On your mark, get set, go." The engine was saying shut, 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 and all the people broke for the train. I got pushed from behind and I fell on top of my suitcase. Someone reached down and pulled me up. I squeezed my bag to my stomach and I ran. The train was going faster and faster. People were jumping on, reaching back to help each other. I finally got to the tracks, running as hard as I could. I looked up into the boxcar. There was Bugs. "Bud, throw your bag! Throw me your bag!" I used both hands to throw my suitcase at the train. Bugs caught it, and when he set it behind him, and the blue flyer flew out of the twine and fluttered outside the door. But it was like a miracle. The flyer flipped over 3 times, and it landed right in my hand. I slowed down and put it in my pocket. Bugs reached one arm out and screamed, "Bud, don't stop! Run, run!" I started running again, but it felt like my legs were gone. The car with Bugs was getting farther and farther. Finally, I just stopped. Bugs was leaning out the door, and he stopped reaching back for me. He waved, and he disappeared into the boxcar. A second later, my suitcase came flying out the door. I walked over to where it landed, and I picked it up. Man, this is one tough suitcase. You can't even tell what it's been through. It still looked exactly the same. I ran out the side of the tracks, and I tried to catch my breath. The train and my pretend brother got farther and farther away, chugging to Chicago. Man, I'd found some family, and he was gone before we could get to know each other. There were 6 or 7 people who didn't make the train. We all walked back to Hooverville. They must have lit the big fire again. The sky was glowing orange. The cop that first threw down his billy club walked over and said he wasn't lying about Flint police coming. They're coming to bust up the shanty town. Get out of here. We got close to Hooverville and we heard 4 gunshots. We all spread out into the woods and sneaked up carefully to see what was happening. I peeked from behind a tree and I could see policemen standing around, pistols out. All the men and boys and women that were left in the Hooverville were bunched up on one side and the cops were on the other. The fire had been lit and was big and burner than ever, but it was burning because the cops were tearing the shacks down and throwing the wood and the cardboard hunks of cloth into the middle of it. One of the cops dragged the big clothes washing pot over to the side, took out his pistol, and shot it 4 times, wrecking it. Well, instead of shooting people, they were shooting holes in pots and pans. The man was yelling, "You yellow-bellied lowlifes! You waited till you knew most of the men was gone, you cowards." The cops wouldn't say anything. They just kept piling Flint's Hooverville into the fire. I tried to see if I could spot Deeza Malone, but there were too many people. It seemed like the only good thing that came out of going to Hooverville was that I finally kissed a girl. Maybe someone was trying to tell me something. Me missing the train, the blue flyer floating back to me, maybe Deeza Malone was right. Maybe I should stay here in Flint. I walked further into the woods and I sat down. I pulled the blue flyer out of my pocket and I opened the suitcase back up. I smothered the flyer and I took another good look at it. Maybe it came floating right back to me because this Herman E. Calloway really was my father. Wait a minute. I sat up. Caldwell, my name, Calloway. They're a lot alike. Both of them have 8 letters and they weren't too many names. C-A-L-W, all together like that. I remember that I met in Little Big Book Gangbusters. It said a good criminal chooses an alias that's kind of close to their own name. Except I couldn't figure out who was a criminal here and why anybody needed an alias. I wanted to stay and look for Deeza and her mother, but it was too hard to hear all those people crying and arguing. Besides, I am still on the lam. I started walking. If I hurried, I could get breakfast at the mission. All right, and finally, so ends Chapter 8. Chapter 8 was like almost 30 pages long, where the other chapters were only 8 pages long. So it was like 3 chapters. Quite a point in the story. Did you notice? I had a feeling right away that as soon as he forgot his flyer, it's like his flyer and his attachment to it was saving him, pulling him from what he thought was going to be his destiny, but would have just taken him further from his true destiny. You will see. Well, I'm very excited to see what goes on next. I think these are bok choy. The bok choy are all excited to see what goes on next. I know, Mr. Litt, you're losing it. You're talking to the plants. Well, there are actually scientific studies that when you talk to plants, they do grow better. And when you play them classical music, too. So, I'm going to do that. I'm going to take my phone outside and play music to my tomatoes. Things to do while quarantined. Play classical music to your vegetables that you're growing outside. All right. Well, it's good to see everybody. Happy Friday. We'll talk soon. Take care.